Welcome to episode 2 of All Around. I'm your host, Cardell Dudley. You're not going to waste any time. We're going to get right to things because we have a lot to cover. I'm going to start right with Good Counsel and their win over St. Mary's Riken last night. I want to start off just acknowledging they're, to me, the surprise team in the area this year. It's no question. They were predicted to finish in the bottom half of the WCAC, and now they're a top 4 team currently. The Falcons improved to 13-5 after a 79-72 win over St. Mary's Riken. Junior guard Bez Bain posted a game-high 29 points in the win. As I said, Good Counsel is currently in 4th place in the WCAC, standings behind 1st place DeMatha, 2nd place Paul VI, and 3rd place St. John's, who they are currently facing as we speak. I will have updates on that probably next Tuesday on the Focus. Not bad for a team that was predicted to finish in the lower half of the league and finish 9-23 last season. You just got to give all praise and respect to that coaching staff led by head coach GJ Casal, my guy and the assistant, and the rest of the coaching staff for the excellent job that they've done this season, because it really started in the summer, you could tell, with workouts, clocking them on the AAU circuit, making sure they was developing. And now they're a legit problem come, WCAC tournament time. We're going to move on to the KD MLK Classic, the inaugural KD MLK Classic. And I'm just going to break down the top prospects. On the Focus, we announced our main team, the guys we felt stood out the most at the Classic. But I chose to stay on All Around. We're going to elaborate more on why that was. And this is, kind of highlight the top prospects, not just the best performers. And what I mean by top prospect, I mean guys that you can pretty much forecast that they would do damage at the college level and beyond. First up, I'm going to start with Dominic Max Brooks, 6'7", guard forward, senior out of St. Charles High School. He's committed to UMass Lowell. Shout out to my man Lewis Hennett up there doing a great job as an assistant, getting a lot of underrated local talent up there that go up there and go to work in that league. He posted 22 points, 7 rebounds, 4 blocks, and 2 steals on 9-13 shooting in a win over Riverdale Baptist. It's my first time seeing him up close. I've heard about him, and he's just a special talent, man. A guy that, he can get away with playing the forward spot mostly in high school, but he has guard skills. A lot of times when you see guys that stand out as undersized bigs, it's just because they're more physically gifted than the talent that they're facing at the high school level. And when they get to college, they are forced to move further out because that's what they are. They're guards in the grand scheme of things. But with him, he already is versatile in both areas. Yes, his perimeter game needs to improve more, but he already has a strong foundation. I saw him shoot pull-up, 1 dribble pull-ups, 2 dribble pull-ups. Mid-range, he can shoot threes. He can move without the ball. He can handle the ball. He can pass. And he's very athletic. He caught a lob, head almost hit the rim. And you know what I mean? And with his length, you can see his length in his arm. I still think he may grow when he gets to college, which is a scary sight. He's just a versatile wing that I think will do a lot of work for UMass Lowell at the next level. I was very impressed by his game. And, if he stays hungry and continue to work, the sky's the limit for him. Richard Isaacs Jr., 6'2" point guard, sophomore out of Wasatch Academy, Utah. This is a special point guard, man. I really just, as soon as I saw him start to get momentum, get in rhythm, and do what he does, I couldn't help it thinking of Steve Nash. The way he handled the ball, he controlled the pace, the way he could shoot the ball, the way he found teammates, the hustle plays, even though he's one of the smaller players on the floor. Hamilton Heights had no answer for him. And keep in mind, I said he's a sophomore, so he's already in the USA circuit. He's already being groomed by them. So by the time his senior year comes, man, it's going to be ugly, man. I think he already pretty much has his choices for schools, for college. Isaac scored 29 points, grabbed 5 boards, had 5 assists and 2 steals on 8-17 shooting from the field, but 7-12 shooting from 3. I will repeat that, 7-12 shooting from 3. In a 94-82 win over Hamilton Heights Academy out of Tennessee. He's just a special blend, man. He's just a special blend of a lot of players, man. You can say Trae Young. You see a little bit of Steph. But what I mean by Steve Nash is Steve Nash was a master of not giving his dribble up. He kept his dribble. It was hard to kind of get the ball out of his hands once he got it. And a lot of point guards, when they get in the lane and there's nothing, they pass it out and then recover. No, Steve Nash was a master just keeping the ball. And he will keep the ball and keep probing until he finds a mismatch or until the defense makes a mistake. That's what Isaac already has kind of mastered in a sense. And he did it all game. And especially at the high school level, you know they're bound to make a mistake. And Hamilton Heights made defensive mistakes, and he made them pay. And that's what makes him special. So to have that kind of savvy at such a young age it's ridiculous, honestly. So I'm excited to see how he progresses in the next couple of years and beyond. And definitely a player you should keep your eye on. Another player, Khalid Murphy, 6'3" guard, senior, out of Grayson High School, committed to South Florida. He has 17 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, 8 of 13 shooting in a win over Crestwood Prep out of Canada. A super athletic guard, more of a shooting guard right now, but I think he can facilitate when needed. I think South Florida is getting a gem. I think he's underrated. I kind of expect him to kind of be at a stronger program, a stronger conference, but regardless, he's a talent. And I think if he can improve his playmaking skills to a point where he can either fit in at the point guard or as an undersized two, kind of like what you kind of a cross between, I guess you could say Malik Monk and what he's doing with the Charlotte Hornets. Man, he got a shot. He got a shot at playing 82 games. It's just a matter if he keep growing in those areas. But I mean, he has all the physical gifts and tools to definitely make an impact at the college level, and should get his fair share of attention, from the pros for sure. Another player that just jumped out at you, but it wasn't for offense. It was defense. Felix Okpara, 6'11" center, another standout sophomore for Hamilton Heights, the team out of Tennessee. He had 8 points on 4 or 5 shooting, which it wasn't his fault. At the high school level. No, honestly, no, let me take that back. At every level, it seemed like guards they don't know how to find big men in the post too often, especially when the big man has it going. When your big man's 4 or 5, you need to feed him the ball. And he got frustrated, but he didn't let it dictate his game. He stayed within the game. What he did was take his frustration out defensively, and that's where he's staying out at. He had 7 rebounds, but he had 8 blocks in a close win over West Town. If you don't know, West Town has a highly touted big man, Frank Campaign, and Frank Campaign tried to dunk on him 2 hands, 1 hand, about 3 times. Each time, Okpara sent that thing back. Palmed that jump. And even West Town guards after the game were saying they've never seen Campaign and never seen Frank get stuff like that. He's a special shot blocker, a special defensive presence. That's why, when I saw him do what he does, it's instinctual. He has length, he has athleticism, he's quick, and he times things perfectly. And that's what made me think of big centers, that great shot blocking centers like Mutombo or Olajuwon or Manu Bowl back in the day. Even Bill Russell being an undersized center, 6'9", 6'10", but being arguably the greatest shot blocker in the history of the game. Okpara has those tangible skills and instincts. So with that being said, I think once he continues to just develop his offensive game, being able to step out and shoot, having more polish on a block, you could potentially be looking at a lottery pick. That's how talented he is, but he has to keep working, especially being a sophomore. Where if he's able to dominate on offense and then combine that with what he already has defensively, it's going to be nothing you could do with him. And so definitely keep an eye on him as well. Another local prospect, Eric Reynolds, 6'3" guard, junior out of Bullis. I got a chance to see him last summer, Summer League, DMV Elite, not DMV Elite, but DMV Live period by Capital Hoops. Shout out to Mark Stern and those guys for having me last summer. And I got a good chance to look at him up close and personal. And he's just he's a talent, man. I don't like comparing guys to NBA players, but I do it just so you can kind of get a better feel for what I'm saying when I describe these players. He has a lot of Darren Williams in him, meaning he's a big guard, about 6'3", but he can play make, he can shoot, he can score with the best of them, and he may not look that athletic, but he is. And I'm not talking about just quickness and speed. He has great strength, and for his size, and he's fairly athletic. He can get above the run with the best of them, and he plays both ends. He's just a solid all-around player. And he had 20 points, 11 rebounds, 3 blocks, 2 steals on 9 of 17 shooting, 2 of 4 from deep, and a win over Archbishop Carroll. Hands down, he's one of the best, not just guards, but players in the area. It's not even close. You know what I'm saying? I think he's a high major prospect. You know, if they can kind of get past the stereotype of, you know, not being at a big-time private school and not, and just look at his game, they'll be getting a gem. And I think he's a steal for whoever gets him. Last but not least, we're going to touch on JT Thor, 6'9" forward, senior out of Norcross High School. I've seen him for years. He came up in under Boo Williams AAU on the EYBO circuit. And at the quiet first half where people in the crowd was looking at each other saying, what's wrong with this kid? He's highly touted. Show us something. Second half, he went off. Finished with 31 points of 12 of 20 shooting, 2 of 4 from 3, 10 rebounds, 5 blocks, and 2 steals, and a come-from-behind win over Rock Creek. I mean, he just dominated. And he was probably the best pro prospect I can see from this weekend. And that's due to his, you know, size, athleticism, and skill. I mean, he's just a hard dude to match up with. He can handle the ball. He can pass. He can shoot the three. He's athletic. He'll dunk on you. He can, you know, he can get on the block and go to work. And he really killed Rock Creek just by sitting in the high post. You know what I mean? Just sitting there, turning and shooting. And when the guard would dig down, when he caught it in the high post, he would give it back to the guard, set a pick, pop out for a three. Big man would sag down when his guard would try to get into the lane. He just knocked down a three. He just killed him in the second half, and they tried all types of defensive schemes to try to stop him. You know, shield him to one area, force him to one area. You know, keep him out the paint. You know, make him a 3-point shooter, and he made him pay every which way. And when he has it going like that, man, it's just a special sight to see. So, you know, it's just a matter of him not having to wait a half to do that. He has to get to a point where, from the opening tip, I'm just gonna kill y'all and get the game over with. And I think that's what's stopping him from being a great prospect to being a great player. Is just realizing that. Once he realizes that, and it becomes consistent where anytime I'm near a gym in kill mode, you know, it's a wrap. Simple as that. We're going to move on to a topic that's kind of bothering me in a sense, especially with all-star starters being announced tonight. Entertainment versus winning. You know, it's a debate going on as far as the all-star game is concerned, whereas players that are having high production, should they be invited to all-star weekend, be a part of the all-star game if their teams aren't winning, but they're producing at a high level. And that's a tricky thing. For me, I'm kind of old school, and I'm always be this way. Yes, you have a high level of production, but it has to equate to wins. You have to find a way to get the job done and get the wins, because at the end of the day, you're producing to get the win. If you're just going to if your goal is just to produce, then what's the point of keeping track of records and stuff? Just go out there and just hoop. You know what I mean? Just put on a show. I understand the show is a part of it, but honestly, I think we've gotten away from competition being the essence of the show, and we need to get back to that. Trae Young was named the starter, and make no mistake about it, I love Trae Young. I've been a believer since I saw him on the EYBL with Michael Porter, and they just put together one of the greatest summers in EYBL history. They literally destroyed everybody. It was ugly, and then looking back, they should have. You had two potential number one overall picks on the same team playing different positions. I mean, it was just roadkill for those guys. But going back to Trae Young, he's having a monster season. He's averaging 29.2 points, 8.6 assists, 4.7 rebounds, so 44% shooting from the field, 37% shooting from deep, 83% from the line. But the Hawks are last place in the East currently. They're 11-34. So should he be an all-star? And in this case, an all-star starter, because he's already been named the starter. Does entertainment supplant winning? I mean, yes, his production warrants him being an all-star, no doubt. But I just feel like, for me personally, I couldn't have put him in as a starter. Or, let's say a guy like Ben Simmons. With Embiid out, he's kept Philly afloat. And it's not, they get on him about his jumper, but the boy almost averaging a triple-double every year. That's not easy to do. All around production. And his team is winning. You could say, well, he has more help, blah, 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 but it's a bunch of young talent on the Hawks as well. It's his job to elevate them. You can't, you can't have one without the other, man. You can't say he's a great player, but then don't hold him to the standard that all great players are held by. Your job is to elevate that team. Your job is to elevate everybody around you. You're the guy. Especially being a point guard, is holes in Trey's game that he needs to improve in. As far as definitely on the defensive end, there's no way. I don't know what people are watching. I guess people are just waiting to be entertained with the deep threes and stuff. And this is no fault of Trey. It's just a lot of people and a lot of agenda, being pushed by, a bunch of lazy people in the media who rather be friends instead of tell it like it is, be friends with the players and worried about whatever they got going on instead of telling it like it is. Teams are picking on Trey defensively. They're going right at him. So as much as he's, much damage as he's doing, averaging 29, if you give him 20 to the starter and 15 to the backup, you're losing that battle. You know what I mean? Because you're giving up 35 and your team is losing. And that compromises your team when you're getting broke down consistently on defense and their guys have to rotate over and try to help. That's my biggest issue with Trey right now. I got to see some improvement on that end. And I think if he improves on that end, they will start winning because they'll be able to get stops. They'll be able to keep him on the floor. They'll be able to, be confident. Guys will be able to stay with their man instead of being like, being in the no man's land in between, like, should I stay with my man or get ready to help Trey's man? And there's no reason why he should have, because my thing is if you have enough quickness to cross people, get free to score, get by people, get free to step back threes and all that stuff like that, you have enough quickness to stay in front of people. And it's just a mentality, and it's just about putting forth the focus and energy in with that. And I think he will. Trey don't strike me as a guy that's just out there for offense. I think he truly wants to be great, but he has to improve on that end. And once he improves on that end, to me, the wins will follow, along with the development of the other guys around him, like, DeAndre Hunter and Reddish and those guys, man. They have a lot of young talent, but it's up to him to kind of match that. And another thing as far as, well, Trey deserves to be an all-star starter and be an all-star with his numbers. Well, does Brad Beal deserve to be an all-star? I mean, Washington's having a bad season, but they had more wins than the Hawks. But Brad Beal's numbers are similar to Trey's. And I've heard people consistently throughout the season say because of the Wizards' record, Brad Beal is not an all-star this year. So you see how it's kind of funny with me right now as far as this all-star thing. Yes, it's entertainment, but I believe, man, the people who are producing and is equating to win should always get the nod over those who's not. And honestly, in the East, who can you point to that are just before the All-Star stars were named? Who could you point to where you could just say for sure they're All-Stars? For me, it was only about 9 players. Obviously Giannis, Embiid. Jimmy Butler should have definitely been a starter over Trey. Look what he's done to Miami, man. Like, that's a crime in itself. Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown are all-stars. Kyle Lowry's also because of what Toronto's doing. Kemba is a starter, obviously, just been announced. Pascal Siakam is a starter. Been announced. He had a strong start to the season, then he got hurt. He's coming back being solid. Ben Simmons. And then even if you want to put Chris Middleton in it, for what the Bucks are doing, he's right now, he's Robin to Giannis Batman, in a sense. So that leaves about 2-3 spots left. That's why I believe Trey should be an all-star, but I don't think he should be starting because of that very reason. There haven't been, outside of those 9 players in the East, there haven't been others that have separated themselves. So with that being said, he should get in this year. But what about next year when KD and Kyrie return? See, he's going to get in. If they still losing, should he be a starter then? Just something to kind of pay attention to. I understand people want to be entertained, but entertainment should never supplant winning, the substance of what the reason why you play the game of basketball. The winning is the most important thing. So if you want to be entertained by your moves and stuff like that, that's what YouTube is for. Go ahead, punch in what you want to see and enjoy. But when it comes to real basketball games, when the games that matter, winning should be the emphasis first and foremost. And I think we're in a dangerous place where we're starting to get away from that. Another, hot topic that's going on is too much emphasis on offense and not enough on defense. And James Harden has kind of become the poster child for that, and, rightfully so. his defense has been subpar for most of his career, but offensively he's a wizard, man. It's just, one of the greatest offensive players from the guard spot you've seen in the NBA. Like I said, I'm not one of those people that nitpick how he gets it done, saying he gets the benefit of foul calls when he drives into the lane. He's baiting opponents. That's part of being a veteran, savvy player. You try to find little advantages to help get the job done. I brought up Michael Jordan when he would drive to the lane. If it was a crowd, he would turn around and slap his arm. The ref furthest away would just hear a slap and think Mike got hit. He'd get a foul call, even though Mike is slapping himself. You know what I mean? Reggie Miller would come off a screen, shoot a three, knowing someone is trailing him tight because they know he could shoot, trying to stay with him, and he would kick his leg out just so the defender can run into his leg and can knock him out. Now, he's going to the free throw line, even though Reggie Miller initiated the contact. That's just part of the game. So as a defender, you got to understand that's what they're going to do. You have to adapt and try to stop it. But I feel like when you're great offensively like James Harden, a lot of fans, a lot of people today give you a pass on defense. I've literally had people who DM and contact me, leave messages saying, well, James Harden is averaging 30, 10, 7 or whatnot. Man, PJ Tucker, Daniel House, that's their job to defend. He shouldn't have to worry about defense. Excuse me? Like, what kind of basketball have y'all played? Who taught y'all the game? That is not acceptable. No. And that's not the standard for elite guards. See, elite guards play both ends because you're going to have to stop an elite guard, especially in playoff time. You're going to stop somebody nice to win, and there's no coincidence why they haven't progressed. For instance, I can name countless shooting guards throughout the history of the game that were lethal offensively, but lethal on the defense end. Here are a few names. Obviously, the GOAT, Michael Jordan. You got Kobe Bryant, Gary Payton, John Stockton, where they going to say, well, he wasn't a scorer. He was an efficient scorer. He didn't look to score a lot. He didn't look to shoot a lot, but he could put up points when he wanted to. But at the end of the day, if you dishing out 15 assists a season, I'm pretty sure that more than makes up for his 15 points a game. Walt Frazier, Jerry West, Joe Dumars, Sidney Moncrief, Michael Ray Richardson. Look him up. I'm pretty sure a lot of y'all don't know who Michael Ray Richardson is. Look him up. He was one of the best two guards of his era. He got it done on both ends. That's the standard, man. You have to, if you want to be considered an elite player, elite guard, you have to defend and you have to get stops. And you have to win that battle against other elite guys, not just role players. Defense is hard work. Most don't truly want to work hard. Let's just be honest. It's draining, it's tiring. But if you want to win, you got to do what you got to do. And that's why when people don't pay, they justify not playing defense, I question if they want to win. Because that's, to me, where winning starts. I don't care how great you are offensively. You will run into a night where you're off offensively. You can't make a shot. Defense will keep you in the game. That's the difference. And at the end of the day, the best defensive teams, not just in the NBA, but across sports, the NFL, as you can see, they win championships. Look at what the 49ers did to Aaron Rodgers in a sense last weekend in the playoffs. The better defensive win. The Warriors, because their offense, especially with KD came in, that got more of the spotlight. But they won championships because they were able to hold you down, and then you couldn't stop their onslaught offensively, so they just overwhelmed you. But their defense was on point, especially when, KD and Steph, and then Iguodala, Sean Livingston, Draymond, and those guys, when they were on a string defensively, it was a beautiful sight to see. I always said, when they were in rhythm defensively, it was similar to the 90s Bulls. It was like poetry. It was beautiful to watch because they would literally take teams apart that way, and then they would just destroy you offensively, and there was nothing you could do. You just left looking there just helpless. We got to get back to that, man. So I don't really want – offense is important, no doubt. You have to score, but defense should be the emphasis. And I'm calling out media as well. We got to get back to emphasizing great all-around play. Stop saying players are skilled or great all-around players that don't play defense. Defense is a skill. It's not even just about effort. It's a science with it. And the more you try to, minimize that, the further players coming in the league and the further in the game, we're going to get away from that. And then it's just going to be a terrible brand of basketball. It's the reason why you see throughout the season, I can't recall in a season where teams have gotten up big, 20 points, then next thing you know, they're down 20 points. it's happened all season across the league with pretty much all the teams. That shouldn't be the case. Next up, we're going to talk about is Luka Doncic. The prejudice from brothers with Luka Doncic. Yes, we all see what he's been doing. He's killing the league. He's averaging 29 points, 9.7 rebounds, 9 assists on 46% shooting from the field, and has Dallas in the 5th seed in the West currently. Their record is 27-16. But I see a lot of brothers saying that the media are kind of pumping him up because they're looking for a white face, a white star to get behind. And I'm just like, y'all got to be kidding me. If you're real, if you know the game, you know Luka Doncic is cold. I said from day one when we were, we covered the Wizards when they played him last year as a rookie. He got Larry Bird symptoms, man. He got a lot of Larry Bird in him. And ironically, Larry Bird was kind of at the center of the same type of criticism from my community, back in the 80s. When Magic was doing this thing, when he had a rivalry with Magic and the Lakers and Celtics were going at it every year in the finals. But if you real with yourself, real should recognize real. That boy cold. He's cold. It has nothing to do with his skin color. That boy cold. You got to understand what you're watching, man. And the reason why he's getting a lot of praise is because he's dominating. He's averaging nearly a triple-double in his second year. He's only 20 years old, and the Mavericks are winning. You should get love. You should get a spotlight. What's wrong with y'all? And it's always this comparison with Trae Young because they was in the same draft class. Trae's getting his love as well. But when your team is dead last in the East, you shouldn't get more love than Luka, who's in the West, where the conference is stronger, even though it's slightly, but they're stronger overall, and they're winning. And he's a big reason for that. So you got to understand what the dynamics are and stop hating. Bill Russell said it best. We should be the last people to be, so quick to not include someone. Because we as black people have been, just cast to the side forever. Pretty much since we got off the boat. Our ancestors got off the boat. I ain't going to say we don't know what that's like. So if you're going to come with that ignorance, man, I just don't have no patience for you. If you're a basketball guy or basketball girl, if you consider yourself a fan of the game, a knowledgeable person in the game, especially if you put in work in the game, if you're a coach, you a trainer, something like that, how are you not going to appreciate the game of Luka Doncic? Come on, man. This prejudice has to end, man. Yeah, man, just call it what it is, man. Give respect where it's due. It's not hard. The old school versus the new generation. Man, this has been a hot topic this year. Man, the young generation feel like, legends from yesteryear are always hating on them because they always critical of them. And the old school guys feel like the new generation is entitled. They're overindulged and they haven't really done anything yet. And this is off the heels. This kind of been sparked back up because, the All the Smoke podcast, which is hosted by former NBA players Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson. They had Steph Curry on there, and it was a conversation about how Allen Iverson always showed current players love, especially Steph Curry. That's probably his favorite player. He always gives Steph love, because he's a killer. And, killers recognize killers, and it's a small fraternity of those. And Steph really elaborated on how big that was because Allen Iverson was someone that he looked up to, obviously, growing up. And he just said, a lot of the older guys are always, throwing shade at the current generation for whatever reason. And it's kind of it's just a back and forth that, to me, honestly needs to stop. And, I agree with Steph to a certain point. It is some shade, but I think it's 50-50. Some of it, half is shade and half is real. It's constructive criticism. I just think today's player don't want to hear it. And I get it. They're being bombarded every day with negativity from social media. It's like they can't escape it. I mean, if they brush their teeth wrong, there's some negativity coming, man. It's part of the world we live in, but you also can control that. You don't really have to interact with social media and have to deal with that crap. But at the end of the day, everything that the players from yesteryear, what they're saying when they're critical, they're not wrong. If you don't play defense, you don't play defense. If they're telling you need to step up, you need to step up. I love the greatest examples was Joel Embiid. he had a game where he was scoreless early in the season, and Shaq and Barkley got in him. Like, man, heck no, you way too good to be going scoreless and not dominating. You settling for threes and stuff, man. That man, bump that. You should be the most dominant big man in the game. Go down there and go to work. And what he do, he responded. He went to work. I believe it was against the Celtics, and they had him on after the game. And Embiid took it. To his credit, he took it. He went on there and just said, man, listen, I heard you. And I just want to come out here and do, which I said I should do, just go out here and dominate. And you know what Shaq and Barkley said? Thank you for listening. You know what I mean? And that was just mutual respect. That's all they're trying to do. At the end of the day, I think players today need to understand the old-time players are fans of the game. They don't want to see the standard, the bar lowered. They wanted to, this is the standard that we were judged by. Y'all have to reach that standard. You know what I'm saying? And we figured out how to do it, so here's how you should do it. Now, you may not want to hear it, but if you really trying to get better, just sit back. Don't worry about the delivery. Sit back and listen to the message, and it'll be better off for you. But I don't really blame the players from yesterday. I don't blame the players for today. I blame the media. I blame the media. I think the media stirs a lot of stuff up directly and indirectly. How many times have you heard of a young player when they have a great performance, it's the greatest performance we ever seen, and then you see a graphic and they're being compared to a player from yesteryear? And then you got these reporters who never been on the floor a day in their life, never played ball for real, all of a sudden saying that they're better than those players. They're more evolved and all the stuff like that. Man, if you an older player from yesteryear and you put in more work and you accomplish more than these young players, they're already saying they're better than you, of course you're going to take offense to it. You're going to be like, hold on, man. Hold on. Like, no, check. Y'all going to check all that. And that's where the head button comes in. You feel what I'm saying? I just think all the players kind of need to be smarter and just realize the agenda behind it when the media does that, because they just try and create stories. And it sucks because I'm part of the media, but I ain't with that. You know what I mean? It's just like, yeah, I'm in this, but I ain't with them. They over there doing that crap, man. You supposed to be objective and tell it like it is and keep a certain type of perspective. Just because you have a great performance does not mean that you're all of a sudden better than a player who kind of set a standard. It's Jada Kid said it best. I can't say unite till you show me longevity. It has to be consistency of great high-level play and winning for you to be compared to the legends of yesteryear. It's as simple as that. Shaq came in, he was already dominant. Everybody knew he was going to go to work. But he couldn't be compared to Bill Russell, Jabbar, Wilt, Olajuwon. You couldn't be in that conversation with those great big men until you won something. It's not enough to dominate. He dominated and ended up winning. Now he's in that conversation when they have a great all-time big man, get together or whatnot, and he can sit at the table and belong. That's what it's about, man. So I just think it's the media, and they need to fall back on that and just let these young players just be what they're going to be. And then at the end of the day, when their career's over, then you kind of talk about it and judge from there. And that's just as far as I'm going with it. I don't think it's going to stop, but I just want the players to understand, especially today's player, man, stop taking everything so personal. Just listen to the message. It might be the advice that you need to take not just your game, but your team to the next level. Mrs. Zion Williamson had his debut last night. First 3 quarters was ho-hum. You can obviously see, which I expected. He was trying to see how his body would react. What could he do? He's basically trying to trust his body again. And while at the same time adjusting to the speed of a game that he hasn't played in months since he tore his meniscus. Meanwhile, everybody else on the floor is already in tip-top shape and they're in full rhythm because it's the middle of the season. But in the fourth quarter, he showed why he was the number 1 pick. He woke up. He started being ultra aggressive. He became the Zion that we saw at Duke, and he finished with 22 points, including 17 straight in the fourth quarter, 7 rebounds, 3 assists. He had 5 turnovers, but he got to get his rhythm. And 18 minutes of action in a 121-117 loss to the San Antonio Spurs. It was a hell of a debut considering Zion missed 44 games due to surgery. Repairing the torn meniscus. For me, it wasn't just the performance, it was who he did it against that even made it more impressive. He did it against the Spurs and Pop. You understand, Pop is top 3, top 4 greatest coaches the league has seen. With Phil, Red Auerbach. You could throw Pat Riley in there. It's countless coaches, but he's in that mix. Of course, he wasn't gonna let this kid try to come in there and dunk on him, get the crowd going, and now they're in a dog fight. We gonna stop all that. And then you got to add in other factors. You're going against 2 perennial all-stars. You got DeMar DeRozan at guard, but at your position, you have LaMarcus Aldridge as well. So, 7-foot, mid-range, just lethal on the mid-range big man who's very highly skilled. And for him to put the team on his back to not only lead them back and make it a game, actually give them a lead late in the game before they pull them, that tells you what his potential can be. And, it was funny seeing on social media people go from calling him a bust in the first half to seeing him become, now he's the greatest thing since Jordan. We have got to stop being so emotional with things happening. If you play sports before, it takes a minute to get your rhythm back, man, especially at the highest level. Come on, man, what do you expect him to come in and drop 50? Nah, man, he missed months. He got to get adjusted. His teammates had to get adjusted to him. You can see how they got off to a slow start to begin with because they were trying to get him some plays or get him some touches where he could go to work and try to wake him up. When the Spurs didn't allow that, they played great defense. They went ahead and just played their natural game. But I just think Zion, he's a special talent. He's very unique. He's something we haven't quite seen before. And I'm not just talking about physically. It's a combination of things. It's the physical build, it's the athleticism, it's the underrated skill. They don't give him enough credit for a skill. Like the pass on a break when he was surgical with the pass where it found Ingram and Ingram went in and scored inside. That's instincts, that's skill, that's passing. His defense, his versatility on defense, his strength. The way he can post guys up, he can hold his own in the post when they try to post him up. The way he can, even though he does not have his legs fully yet, he has to get in better shape and all that. Get his wind and all that back. He still was going up above everyone and getting rebounds already. So imagine what's gonna happen when he gets his legs. For me, I just keep working on this jumper, man. That's the only thing stopping him. And he hit 3s last night, and the Spurs dared him to do it. He knocked him down. What can you do after that? Especially once he gets his legs. When he's hitting jumpers, what can you do after that? It's gonna be nothing you can do. So all you're gonna do is send a double or a triple, and then he could do one of the things he does best, which is find other guys, and then you got Ingram being able to kill. Lonzo Ball is quietly validating why he was the number 2 pick, man. He's pretty much close to a triple-double every game himself. He's knocking down shots at an efficient rate. Josh Hart's strong off the bench, man. Derek Favors is capable. The other rookie, Jackson Hayes, he's strong. Of course, Drew Holiday, man, who if he was in the right situation would be a perennial all-star, his thing. So they have a bunch of young talent that when they get this together, they can go on a run and it can get ugly quickly for them. So the future's bright for them. Zion, just keep working. I love what I saw last night. Just stay with it. And one more thing before I go about Zion that I love that I saw it do, that's an intangible that people don't pay enough attention to, is how competitive he is. He could have easily said, this is my first game. After he struggled, my first game, I'm not going to trip. I'm going to just shut it down. I'll get him next game. No, he actually took it personal that they were getting smacked around by the Spurs, and you could see it in his face. He turned it on. He got real aggressive, and then that's when the flurry came. And you could see in his face, even when he went out, he was pissed because he just ain't want to lose. You could see it throughout the season when he's sitting on the bench. When the Pelicans would lose, he looks frustrated. He looks irritated. Think about it. He's used to dominating high school. He's used to winning. At Duke, they won a lot. He dominated. He's not used to losing. And that's one thing I saw right away, even at Duke. He's willing to do whatever it takes. Get the 50-50 ball. He hustles like he's the last man on the team, like the 12th man on the bench. And he's just getting in the game, so he's trying to stay in the game because he don't know when the next time he's going to get in the game. That's how he hustles, even though he's the number 1 pick and he's a star. That's rare, man. Once you put that all together, once all that come together, I feel for the league. It's going to get bad in a hurry. Want to give a couple, shout-outs to a couple players I came up watching. Alana Beard, former Mystic and LA Spark guard, retired today. I just want to give a salute to her, who, when she was at the top of her game, preferably with the Mystics early in her career, she was one of the top 10 players in the WNBA, hands down. To read off her, kind of elaborate on her resume, she's a WNBA champion, 4-time WNBA All-Star. All those came when she was a member of the Mystics from 2005 to 2007, 2009. All WNBA second team in 2006. She was a 2-time WNBA Defensive Player of the Year when she switched her game up with the Sparks, because that's what was needed for her to not needed for her to kind of stick in the league, because she had a lot of injuries after her strong start to her career with the Mystics, but also to make the Sparks championship team, which they became. She was a 5-time WNBA All Defensive First Team honoree. She was a 4-time WNBA All Defensive Second Team honoree. She did her thing overseas, and definitely I remember her at Duke because she was finishing her career when I was coming in to start my college career, and I would watch her all the time. And she was a 3-time ACC Player of the Year. It was child's play. I mean, she was one of the more dominant, players I've seen on the women's side in ACC. Since I started paying attention to college basketball, during my lifetime. It was, she was special, man. And the misconceptions I'm seeing, attributes that, hey, man, you were a great defender. I'm like, no, she was more than that. She just played a role when she got with the Sparks because they had so many pieces, so many offensive threats and whatnot. So she just filled a role, and she became arguably the best defensive player in the league at that role, which shows how well-rounded of a basketball player that she was, to go from being an all-star where she was literally getting it done in every way. So you know what? I'm a little bit old. I'm not that player. They don't need that from me. We got all these young pieces there by Candace Parker or whatnot. You know what? I'm going to switch my game up so we can win and do what we need to do. And to be that selfless and to switch, not just to only switch your game up, become the most effective at that role in the league. I mean, you got to tip your hat to her, man. That speaks of her being a great basketball player and great basketball mind. For sure, I wish she would have remained a Mystic. I was kind of upset when she left, but, I understand the business of what was going on, man. It affects so many players, but, I mean, in the NBA they say no boys allowed. In the WNBA is no girls allowed, man. You just got to deal with what comes, man. She dealt with it in the spades. I think she's her first ballot Hall of Famer. I think it's a no-brainer, and, I just wish her the best, man. I think she definitely has a lot to offer in basketball. She chooses to do that, whether it's coaching or, training or whatnot, whatever she chooses to do, man. I'm just happy to see, what's in store for moving forward. Maya Moore announced, former Lynx all-world player. Maya Moore, she's sitting out the 2020 season. It was kind of mixed reviews. I think a lot of fans are, being selfish. They want to see her play, but there was other people just supporting her because they understand what her mission is at this point is. And all you can do is respect her. To me, it's her right to do what she want to do. She's put in more than enough work to make this decision. She obviously says she's holding off on retirement. She just don't feel that this is the time to do it, but she's done pretty much everything you could do in the game of basketball. She's one of the greatest players ever. And it's not gender biased. You can't just keep it to, just for the WNBA on the women's side and whatnot, period. I'm talking about period. In the history game, she's one of the most decorated players ever. I mean, she won state championships in high school. She won and dominated in college. She won and dominated in WNBA, USA basketball, overseas. She's gotten it done. And if God's calling her to do something else where she can use her platform or her notoriety to shine light on prison reform, who is anybody to judge, man? She's making the world a better place in a different arena. And as a black man, I just appreciate it because for years, obviously this system does not favor us. And we're the most affected by it. So to have someone of Maya Moore's caliber, especially a sister, acknowledge that and see, the injustice in the system of this country that's geared to kind of keeping us at bay, if not trying to take us out. I'm talking about as black men, and she's willing to fight against that and shine light and do what she can to change that. How in the hell can you not respect that? And yeah, as a fan, I want to see her hoop again, man. She was cold. She was cold with it, but I think this is in the long run more important. And if it can help make sure that we're not racially profiled in the future, or our kids, future young black boys coming in the world, where she can help change that, I'm all for it. So much respect to Maya Moore. And last, we're going to end this show on one last tribute. Morgan Wootten, great DeMatha coach who is, in my eyes, undisputed the greatest high school basketball coach of all time. Passed away Tuesday night. His resume over 46 years of coaching is just, it won't be matched ever again. I doubt it. Especially in this world where ADs are quick to fire coaches for the slightest thing or a few rough patches. Before he got there, people don't understand DeMatha was nothing. They were so trash, they kicked him out the league. That's how tragic. They kicked him out the league literally. So he got there, he got the job, he got the ball rolling, and all the success of DeMatha, standard DeMatha he created, DeMatha basketball that is. He finished with 1,274 wins and 192 losses. So in 46 years, he only lost 192 games and won over 1,200. That speaks for itself. He has 5 national championships and won 33 WCAC championships. For those that may not know, the WCAC has long been the toughest, most competitive, the best high school basketball conference in the country. And he won 33 championships in that league. That's why he's in the Hall of Fame. Countless players have earned scholarships. More than a dozen of those players went on to play in the NBA under his watch. Like Adrian Dantley and Danny Ferry, guys like that. It's no resume like his. But the best thing that he did was, he made leaders of young men and women. And he had integrity. Like what you see in interviews isn't fake. He was like that away. If you see a young person in the gym, he wouldn't hesitate to go talk to you. You know what I'm saying? Like I had my own interaction. I went to his camp. I was kind of a flashy player when I was young. I tried to get the oohs and ahs from the crowd. And I threw a no look. And I was actually being coached by his son at the camp. And, I had a couple turnovers and the son benched me. So I'm frustrated. And then I feel a hand on my shoulder, and it's Morgan Wootten. And he just told me, keep it simple, son. He said, keep it simple. You don't need to do all that. A simple bounce pass would have got the job done. Play to win the game, make the correct play. And you'll be a much better player for it. Clearly, I can't buck back at Morgan Wootten, especially at this camp. But, it's just IQ and intelligence. It's common sense. All right, coach. Enough said. Then Joe put me back in. And I had a few key assists down the stretch, and we came back and won the game. And as I'm leaving the court, Morgan, we meet eyes, and he just gave me a thumbs up. That's what it is. So he did that, but it's plenty of stories with countless players that he's done that with. And I didn't play at DeMatha, obviously. So, just the history with the man, obviously being mentored by Red Auerbach and countless players, his impact on this area is still being felt to this day and will be forever, because there's so many of his former players either coaching or playing, and they're passing down the same lessons that he passed down to them. Think about it. You got Mike Jones, who's the head coach at DeMatha, played for Morgan Wootten. He's passed the knowledge down. He got to Oladipo, who's in the league. Jerry Grant, the Grant brothers, Jerry Grant, who in the NBA. Quinn Cook was there for me. He's in the NBA. Markelle, who's the number 1 pick, he's in the NBA, all that, doing this thing. And you got 2 potential guys who's kind of on that path currently, in Hunter Dickinson and Earl Timberlake. They're possibly on that path, man. Justin Moore and Villanova, it's countless players. But that tree all started with Morgan. That's how special it is, man. And, that's something that will last forever. And that's a testament to his impact, truly, and not just this area, but the game of basketball overall. So, rest in peace, Morgan. Job well done. And, the legacy will live on. So with that being said, we're going to wrap this up. We got another show coming in the next few weeks. I'm going to have a special guest. I'm trying to get that together. It's going to be kind of entertaining. I'm going to keep it under wraps for now until we lock in the date, but it's going to be entertaining. I'm going to get somebody from out of town, kind of a basketball rivalry of this area, and we're gonna kind of have a healthy basketball conversation going back and forth. It's gonna be real sweet in the upcoming weeks. So just keep it locked with us at All Around at the Focus. We'll see you soon. We out.